welcome to Biz Today. I'm Nazareen Ebrahim. As always, every week we bring you some of the most successful entrepreneurs, their inspiring stories, and we take a look at some key or leading business topics of the day, or get an expert in studio from a leading institution or organization that you've wondered or thought about in the business space, but didn't know how to approach them. Then we do a weekly wrap-up. On our lineup today, we've got a very special guest, chairperson of the Trade and Investment KZN, Ina Cronje, who used to be also the MEC for Finance. She's long been in public service, so you recognize her as someone who you've seen in government and been a long part of that particular industry and sector. Then we've got Nkululeko Mthembu from the Durban Hub. What is the Durban Hub? Well, it's a really creative space for techpreneurs, and you'll hear all about that in the episode coming up. On Biz Today, we only profile successful entrepreneurs. We get some of the most inspiring people in studio and also the experts in their fields. And then we also look for public personalities or figures in the industry in South Africa who are doing some great work. Now, Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal is a South African trade and inward investment promotion agency established to promote the province of KwaZulu-Natal as an investment destination and to facilitate trade by assisting local companies to access international markets. The organization identifies, develops and packages investment opportunities in KZN, provides a professional service to all clientele, brands and markets KZN as an investment destination, and retains and expands trade and export activities and links opportunities to the developmental needs of the KZN community. We are very fortunate indeed to have a very special guest in studio, the chairperson of the Trade and Investment KZN, Ms. Ina Cronje. I'm very pleased to welcome you to Biz Today.
Thank you very much, and you've just given a very, very good analysis of what it is that we actually do.
No, we did a little bit of our homework, so I'm pleased that we're able to tell our viewers that, and it's just wonderful that you've taken time out of your hectic schedule to come and chat with us today.
It's my pleasure.
It's nice to know some of the leading authorities or figures who are involved, especially in policy development or the way forward for pushing our economy in the way forward, can have a vested interest in what we are doing. So thank you very much for that. Please, can you give us a brief insight into what Trade and Investment KZN is?
Well, as I say, you've given an excellent introduction. Our name is very descriptive, and I'm always very pleased about that because it's Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal. So there are two components essentially to what we're doing. The one is the trade component and then the investment component. Now, under trade, we do trade promotion and trade development. Now, when I say promotion and development, of course, we have a responsibility to the people in our province, which of course extends to the rest of the country as well, because if this province does well, South Africa will do well. But at the same time, we also do look outwards, and we domestically encourage trade within the province, amongst companies, amongst enterprises. We encourage and develop and promote trade within the country, but then also with the international world. Because we all know that in this day and age, what is very, very important is to actually set your targets domestically, but also internationally. So part of our task and our mission is to develop our entrepreneurs. And it's very important for us to get them export ready, because that is one of the aspects of trade that we're really trying to promote, is to say, right, here's a company that is successful, they've established themselves, and they are export ready, or they are almost export ready. You know, we've got many companies in our country and in our province that have been exporting for a very long time. But then you've got your emerging companies, your emerging exporters. And very often they just need that helping hand. And that's where trade investment comes in.
You're able to facilitate their
entry. We're able
entry.
to facilitate, we're able to assist them on what to do, how to register, where to register, and we can even run courses for them on getting them export ready. So that's a big focus for us, and of course that assists the economy of our entire country. We need to increase our exports, and this is something that we're very, very serious about. So it is that that trade part, as I say, which has a domestic leg to it, but then also an international leg. And then on the investment side, we look at foreign direct investment. And to that end, we are really marketing this province as an investment destination. Because it is. If you think of our strategic advantages, there are so many of them. We have 2 major ports. Now, which other province can actually say that?
Not many of them, I think.
For that matter, which other country can say that?
Right.
We have a state-of-the-art international airport. We've got very good highways into the rest of the country. So our strategic advantages are numerous. Of course, we're also very, very well placed to enter into the rest of Africa, maybe beginning a bit closer at home, the SADC countries,
yes,
and then the whole of Africa. And to give you a good example of an initiative that really has started in this province and is by and large driven by trade by our trade and investment,
yes,
is we now have what is called the East 3 route. That is a partnership between our province, Mozambique and Swaziland, and now recently Seychelles has also come on board.
That's incredible. What will this route help to achieve? What will it do?
The initial thinking when it was our province and Swaziland and Mozambique was perhaps somewhat more focused on tourism. And you can think of the vast tourist potential if the 3 countries work together, because tourists very often, when they come all the way from some distant destination, whether it's China, whether it's United States, doesn't matter, they look at a package. And we can offer now, because of our partnership, we can say to them, come to our province, then you can move on to Mozambique, you can go to Swaziland.
Because of the close proximity, exactly.
Yes, because of the proximity. And, then you market together, and it just adds that edge, and it benefits everybody. Then, as I say, a couple of years ago, Seychelles requested to become part of it. And so, of course, it wouldn't be a route in the sense of going there by motor car, but fly to Seychelles. And then, of course, also
cruise sounds very nice.
Yes, cruise. And so, just to talk about the possibilities of a cruise, you can start here, you could go up to Mozambique, Maputo, Beira, etc. You can go to Seychelles. So that's the one aspect. But as I say, it is now actually grown quite tremendously, and it's not. The focus is much wider. The focus is now on trade between those countries, and we've just come back, and it's still very fresh in my memory, from a trade mission to Seychelles, which was organized through this partnership, and Trade and Investment played a major role in organizing it, where we took, I think it was approximately 100 business people from this province, Mozambique and Swaziland, to the Seychelles. And so it was business to business. And a large variety of businesses actually were there. There were people from the IT industry, there were people from the building and civils industry, you name it, and they were there, tourism, all of it. So there we met then, of course, with the business counterparts, and as a result of that, there actually now is a memorandum of understanding which has been signed between the Durban Chamber of Commerce and the Seychelles Chamber. So
that's some real progress there, from thinking about potential collaboration with the different countries and understanding that there are different roles that collaboration will play, which is to push tourism, to help foster trade among the countries, but also enable the economy here with the tourists coming in and obviously giving new markets life. so that people are able to benefit directly from that partnership. But you've given us a wonderful roundup of, a thorough, comprehensive roundup of the vision and focus of Trade and Investment KZN. But your role particularly, because we are celebrating women on Biz Today, especially with South Africa having celebrated Women's Day, Women's Month, and you're the chairperson. You've also led quite a wonderful, extraordinary life in public service, being the former MEC for Finance in KZN, and a rather interesting service to our country. So you're also a person who we can look up to and aspire, young female entrepreneurs who look at you and say, well, I eventually want to get there one day. What's your role like at Trade and Investment?
I think it's a very exciting role. It's now almost a year since I've been appointed. And I do find it exciting, I find it challenging, and I think we can actually make a difference. I spoke about export earlier on. Now, we also focus on women in export. And let me also say to all the viewers, very happy Women's Month. And we need those women entrepreneurs. It is a key focus for us. And there is so much talent, and remember, we are there to assist. Very often it just takes a little bit of courage to say, but I can enter the big world of business, and I can enter the international world of export.
That's so important that you say that, because a lot of the small entrepreneurs feel intimidated by going to the larger agencies or organizations who are mandated to help drive, business growth from the SME market, and obviously create that platform for them to become bigger entities.
Yes.
So I think they have that intimidation, but that shouldn't be so, right?
Yes, I think perhaps a message to women is just be courageous and bold. You have a dream, many people dream, and you can make it true. It's going to take a lot of hard work. Nothing comes easily. I know many successful business people will tell you how in the initial stages of establishing their businesses, they worked 18 hours a day, times were tough, but they actually made it. And I think that is what one has to say to yourself. Nothing's going to be easy. There are no quick fixes. It's hard work, but please, there is a lot of support out there. And if you do need to get hold of us, we will do what we can. You can go to our website. It's very simple, very straightforward, www.tikzn.co.za.
That's right.
Very straightforward. And then, of course, you can get contact numbers from there. I'm not going to give you all the long stories.
And set up an appointment and get the first foot in the door, so to speak.
Get the foot in the door, and then discuss with us where you think you need help, and I'm sure you will find we can help. We are there. That's why we're there. We facilitate. We don't give money,
of course,
but we can give knowledge, we can give expertise.
And also the business linkage is very important.
The linkages, the business linkages, you're actually raising a very, very important, the linkages, the networking, putting you in touch with other people. Again, if I can use the Seychelles example, where you now had 4 countries together, and a very large component of our delegation consisted of women. There were a large number of women.
Fantastic to hear. So in your experience now, you've been a year with the Trade and Investment KZN. What's your experience been like, or how have you noticed the growth of small businesses and playing in this space? I mean, you've had an eye on the entrepreneurial sector for a long time, but what's your view on how small businesses are starting out, growing, and having the capacity to build even further in our country at this moment?
You know, in my experience, and not only in the last year, just more generally, if I look over a fairly long career, small businesses are quite vulnerable. You know, there is a huge failure rate, and we've spent a lot of time analyzing why do some fail and others succeed. I think a lot has to do with what I said earlier on. Be prepared to work hard. don't spend the first little bit of money that comes in on a fancy car.
This is very true. I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel they need to buy that massive German luxury sedan.
You start your business today, tomorrow you want to buy that luxury sedan. And that is the route not to go.
Yeah.
But then a very, very important reason why lots of businesses fail, they don't have the business expertise. You know, let me maybe say, let's say you're a fashion designer, you design beautiful clothes, you can make them beautifully.
Yeah.
You don't have the business acumen. And this is where we come in with that business acumen. And also the networking, the contacts, the marketing, how to do things, and the mentoring. You can never overestimate the role of mentoring. Somebody to go to and say, look, I'm having this problem. How do I deal with it? I'm finding it very difficult to access this market. Do you have advice? Just somebody to turn to. The mentoring is extremely important. Mentoring, encouragement, and what we've often seen, you know, cooperatives also being a very good vehicle for starting out a business. Cooperatives that have good mentors do well. Yeah. Cooperatives that are left to their own devices very often do not do well. I'm not saying it's an immutable rule, but so it's that combination of your own attitude, your own ability and resolve to work hard and to look long term rather than short term, but with a helping hand and somebody to mentor.
I'm really excited that you mentioned mentorship. It's one of my passion areas. Mentoring is, and the guests we've had on the show previously all agree that having a mentor is more beneficial than not having one. Yes. Because you learn easier from their mistakes and you're able to have a sounding board, a very erudite sounding board. That you're able to go to and, you know, make sure that your business is tighter than it normally would be. So, and that also brings me to my next question. I'm wondering some of the key areas or activities of TIKZN would be, one would be mentorship, providing access to markets, but then also you identify those activities with some of the prominent areas or industries we have in KZN. What are those for trade and investment? Yes,
well, we focusing really very, very strongly on manufacturing, you know, adding value, beneficiation. We have to encourage more people to not only become entrepreneurs and have that entrepreneurial spirit, but also to manufacture, make things, produce things, and then the trade internally and then the export. And so manufacturing generally, whatever you can make and manufacture that people want and that you do well, because quality also comes into it, and the ability to deliver quantity. Because you know what often happens, and I'm sidetracking slightly, what often happens is that somebody will get an order, they make a beautiful something, they get an order, and suddenly if it's a big order from say a big enterprise in the States, they want 10,000 or 100,000, and then it's taking it to scale. But to come back to your question, so manufacturing, and there you must remember the quality and being able to then upscale. Then the automotive industry is very, very big for us. It's a very, very big sector. Business process outsourcing is a very good and growing sector for us. We've had lots of success.
That incorporates the call center industry quite well.
Yes, the call center industry. And we've got some very good success stories to tell there. And for some, and what's very important about it, it's very good for youth employment because it's more suitable to young people. And for some reason, which I haven't fully analyzed, our South African voices, manner, accent, you name it, seems to go down well.
It does, yes.
You know, for some reason, people take to it because, you know, these call centers, the business process outsourcing, somebody might be sitting in Australia and you don't know you're talking to somebody in Durban with your complaint or your issue. But there's a comfort, a feeling of comfort with the way that our young people are handling
And that's
it.
wonderful because it means that's our direct advantage of having a certain mannerism, a style of speaking, tone, diction, which I do understand. Like it's difficult for, I would stand corrected to say this, but maybe Middle Eastern countries or more the Eastern countries, Asian countries, have that difficulty where it's been said before that South African voices are much more preferred. I have read that particular stat before.
Yes, as I haven't analysed the reasons why, but we do seem to do very well in that space. So that's a big area of development for us, and so good success stories. ICT, you were talking about digital earlier on. That is also an area that we are pushing very hard. We want to develop it. We think that we are very well placed to play a major part there. So that is very, very important for us. Then two fairly new concepts, although not all that new, the green economy and the blue economy. Now, the green economy, and again, there's tremendous potential for us, renewable energy.
That's right.
Waste to electricity, you name it. You know, we have so many advantages again there. So, but the whole green economy in its fullness is something that we're also pursuing. And then the blue economy. Now, the blue economy is possibly the newer term, the ocean economy. And again, I think, as far as I remember, we are the province in the country with the longest coastline. So, blue economy, you're talking KwaZulu-Natal. And if you think about the whole ocean economy, and there are so many aspects to it, we have not utilized our advantage to the full with this long coastline. You know, from a tourism perspective, it is very important for us, of course, and we've had that for a very long time. I think historically, Durban is the domestic tourism destination of choice, and not only Durban, but the whole of KwaZulu-Natal. We've got the climate and so on. So that's very, very important. But when we talk blue economy, we're going well beyond that. And we're talking about using in a sustainable way the ocean. And everything all the possibilities that come with that. So the green economy, the blue economy, those are two areas where I think there are a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs. It's developing, and I think we're not developing fast enough. So this is something to look at for entrepreneurs who say, where can I play a role? Because of course what's also important when you're running a business, you can't do what everybody else has done a million times before, and when you manufacture, you're doing the same old thing, and then there's an oversupply, and then guess what? Nobody's interested in your product. So you also have to do your market research. And as Trade and Investment, we are a knowledge-based entity. So that market intelligence, the access to markets, where are the markets for whatever it is, that is part of the service that we offer. But just from a business perspective, it's very, very important for people to consider very carefully when you start your new business, or when you grow your business for that matter, just what other needs out there.
But that's interesting that you say that, because then my understanding is much better now, and I think our viewers will also understand the Trade and Investment KZN and other agencies or institutions like it around South Africa.
Yes.
That not only do you call on new businesses or businesses that are ready to be able to explore new markets and to give them that intelligence.
Yes, the market
to do
intelligence.
That, the market intelligence, but you're also enabling them to innovate on their products much better.
Yes.
Because we always have a conversation with this, especially in the digital industry, about continually innovating our service. And I mean, it's slightly more difficult on our side because the technologies are growing at a rapid pace daily. It's almost sometimes impossible to keep up with the rate of change.
Yes.
But it's necessary. You have to.
You have to.
So
and
I
think that's part of a successful business person. You've always got to be cutting edge. Preferably a step ahead. You've got to make the edge, so that people aspire to be where you are.
You've had a very long, distinguished career as a successful person in public service, and you've been in the public eye for a long time. Obviously, serving
for longer than I care to remember. Probably
serving the citizens of our country. We salute you for that. You've put in a lot of good work, a lot of good effort.
Thank you very much. That's humbling.
And so, what would you say from your experience now, sitting back and looking at your years and looking currently at citizens themselves? Do you think citizens, small business people, entrepreneurs, big business are investing enough in policy development? Because as much as we'd like to trade, and my mentor said to me when I first started my business, the first time you sell something and somebody says yes to your product and you've made that sale, you're in business. So no matter the size of your business or the scope, the ability for you to grow, you're still very much invested in the country and driving that economy. So do you think people are necessarily driving that kind of change?
We work very closely with our chambers, and I think a lot of that kind of policy initiation, policy advocacy comes from organized business. And I think it's very important for small businesses not to just see yourself as a little island, to become involved with your chambers. We've got throughout our province so many business chambers. I mean, in Durban there are a number that we've worked with closely, Maritzburg, down on the south coast, further up north, Richards Bay, Newcastle. I think Newcastle's got 2 or 3 chambers, Ladysmith, you name it.
So you work very closely with the chambers around.
Yes, because we're trying to achieve, our objectives are the same.
That's right.
So we do work very closely, and I gave you the example of the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, that's come about as the result of the Seychelles trip. So we work with chambers here, and where we can, we provide them with a platform to make contact. Of course, it also works the other way around. We often get invited by the chambers when there are foreign missions coming into the country to be part of those missions. But your question was, do I think that enough is being done? We as a country have always encouraged our citizens to be part of their own destinies. Don't sit back passively and say, what is government doing? Of course, government has to do a lot. That's why you have a government. But we are not passengers. We are not spectators. We should be participants. So I think if I can perhaps encourage our business community to participate more than they're doing currently, to make their voices heard more, to, for instance, only last week we had a very interesting presentation by the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Deputy Minister Fatima Chauhan, on the visa regulations. Now, it was very well attended by business, and this is a forum where you can actually say, from my experience as business, this is how it's affecting us. Or from my experience, it's all fine. You know, whatever the case may be, I'm not anticipating what people ought to say. But I think use those forums, use your chambers, use the platforms that are available, and be a participant in determining your own destiny and not a spectator. I think we're sometimes too passive, and government somehow magically is going to come up with the answers.
That's right.
Now, having been in government for very many years, there's no magic about being in government, and we need our citizens to tell us, this is how what you are doing is affecting me. Not in a confrontational way necessarily, constructive, in a constructive and participatory way. This is your country, this is your province, this is your life, this is your future. Be part of it and help to shape it.
I think you've pretty much helped to wrap up the interview by giving a few final words of advice to aspiring entrepreneurs. Is there anything more that you want to add to that? Because it just resonates with me so much. We must be active citizens, not passive ones who stand by and watch, and when the policy is passed, and then we have to
yes, and
then
we complain afterwards. You know, be part of it.
Rather than being in a stakeholder public participation process, which is necessary. And I think also the lessons I take away from the interview today is that we can't be intimidated by the fact that we could not possibly do business in this province, because as you very nicely outlined, we have so many industries for development here. Be they agriculture, manufacturing, automotive, the blue and green economy, as you spoke about.
Yes.
And there's just so much to be going on about. And this is why I know the viewers around the country are going to take me on for being so passionate about KZN.
Well, I'm with you.
It truly is that if you're in your particular province, that's the only way we can drive a better economy, is having that passion for the place that we live in. And I think that's what drives innovation as well.
It's the passion, and it is being a little bit bold and a little bit brave, as I've said. You know, follow your passion, follow your dreams, and in particular to women in this Women's Month. Please follow your dreams, but be prepared to work very hard to make them come true.
It's been such a pleasure to have you on Biz Today to speak with us. I was very excited when you accepted our request and we've got you in studio, so I really hope you come back and chat with us more.
Thank you very much. And I mean, not myself necessarily, but we have a lot of information to share as trade and investment, and please do make use of us. And as I've said to the listeners, we are there.
Wonderful. That was Chairperson of the Trade and Investment KZN, Ms. Ina Cronje, joining us in studio today to talk to us about the organization, the institution. There are agencies and institutions around the country similar to Trade and Investment KZN. Connect with your local chamber, find out who they are, and as you heard from the interview, don't be afraid to just drive your ambition. Go and find what it is and seek help, because that's what these institutions and organizations are there for. We've got coming up Nkululeko Mthembu from the Durban Hub. What is that? You'll be very excited to know. It's a space for aspiring technological developers and freaks like us. So stay tuned for that one.